Admiral Kang Minho stood on the bridge of his ship, looking out at the stars through the large window. But these were not peaceful stars. They were filled with the fire and smoke of battle. His ship, the Inchen's Pride, floated among the broken pieces of what used to be Earth's great war fleet. The battle was over. Humanity had lost again. Minho was tired. His uniform was dirty with sweat and blood. His hands shook slightly as he held onto the metal rail in front of him. Around him, his crew worked quietly at their stations. No one spoke much after a defeat like this. "Admiral," said a voice behind him. Minho turned to see Park Sora, his tactical officer. She was young, maybe 30 years old, with short black hair and serious eyes. Like everyone else, she looked exhausted. "How bad is it, Sora?" Minho asked. Sora looked at her tablet computer. Her voice was steady, but Minho could hear the pain in it. "We lost 60% of our ships, sir. The Soul's Light is gone. The Busan's Hope, too. Captain Kim went down with his ship." Minho closed his eyes for a moment. Captain Kim had been his friend for 20 years. Now he was dead, along with his entire crew of 800 people. "What about the enemy?" Minho asked. "The Veltharian. Ships pulled back after the battle, but sir..." Sora paused. "Our long-range sensors show more enemy ships coming. A lot more. They will be here in 6 hours." Minho nodded slowly. The Veltharians were aliens who looked like giant lizards. They had been fighting humans for 15 years. Their ships were bigger and stronger than human ships. Their weapons were more powerful. They had better shields and armor. Humanity was losing this war. "Everyone knew it, sir," called another voice. This time it was Li Jihan, the communications officer. He was a thin man with glasses who always spoke quietly. "I'm getting something strange on the sensors." Minho walked over to Li's station. "What kind of strange?" Li pointed at his screen. "Something big just came out of hyperspace, really big. But it's not moving like a Veltharian ship, and it's not sending any signals we recognize." "Show me," Minho said. Li pressed some buttons, and the main screen at the front of the bridge changed. It now showed a picture of space near their location. Most of the screen showed the normal darkness of space with a few distant stars. But in the center was something else. It was a ship. But it was unlike any ship Minho had ever seen. The ship was huge, much bigger than any human ship, and even bigger than the largest Veltharian battleships. It was long and thin, like a knife made of metal. The hull was dark, so dark it seemed to eat the light from nearby stars. It had strange angles and curves that hurt to look at for too long. "How big is it?" Minho asked. 3 kilometers long, sir," Sora said, reading from her instruments. "Maybe more. The sensors are having trouble getting exact numbers." "Any weapons?" "I can't tell, sir. The hull material is blocking most of our scans, but there are energy readings inside that ship that are, well, they're bigger than anything I've ever seen." Minho stared at the unknown ship. In 15 years of war, they had never seen anything like this. The Veltharians had many different types of ships, but they all looked similar. This ship looked like it came from somewhere else entirely. "Is it Veltharian?" asked Park Sora. "No," said Li Jihan. "The design is completely different, and the energy signature doesn't match anything in our database." "Then who is it?" Minho wondered out loud. "Sir," Li said, "should I try to contact them?" Minho thought for a moment. His fleet was broken. His people were tired and scared. More enemy ships were coming. Maybe this unknown ship could help. Or maybe it would make things worse. "Do it," Minho said. "Use standard first contact protocols." Li nodded and began working at his station. "Unknown vessel, this is Admiral Kang Minho of the Earth Defense Coalition ship Inchen's Pride. Please identify yourself and state your intentions." They waited. Minutes passed. The unknown ship did not answer. "Try again," Minho said. Li sent the message again in different languages: English, Chinese, Spanish, Arabic, Russian. Still no answer. Hours passed. The crew of the Incheon's Pride watched the mysterious ship, but it did nothing. It just floated in space, dark and silent. Other human ships in the area also tried to contact the unknown vessel. Captain Kim Dae-ho of the destroyer Soul's Hammer flew his ship closer to get a better look. But the strange ship ignored him too. "Sir," said Park Sora, "the Veltharian fleet is getting closer. They'll be here in 2 hours." Minho looked at the tactical display. Red dots showed enemy ships moving toward their position. There were many of them. Too many. "All ships, prepare for battle," Minho said into his communication device. "We'll make our last stand here." But even as he said it, Minho knew it was hopeless. His remaining ships were damaged and low on ammunition. The crew were tired. They could not win against so many enemy ships. Just then, Lee Jihan called out, "Sir, the unknown ship is sending a signal." "Put it on speakers," Minho said quickly. The bridge became quiet. Then they heard a voice speaking. It was strange, not quite human, but speaking in perfect Korean. "We observe. We evaluate. We choose." That was all, just those 6 words. Then silence again. "Did they just speak Korean?" asked Park Sora. "Yes," said Lee. "Perfect Korean. But how do they know our language?" Before anyone could answer, the sensors started beeping loudly. "Sir," shouted Sora, "the unknown ship is moving." On the main screen, they watched as the dark ship began to turn. It moved smoothly, like a fish swimming through water. Slowly, it positioned itself between the human fleet and the space where the Veltharian ships would arrive. "What are they doing?" Minho wondered. "I don't know, sir," Sora said. "But energy levels inside that ship are climbing fast. Whatever they're planning to do, it's going to be big." Suddenly, space filled with light as the Veltharian fleet came out of hyperspace. Dozens of enemy ships appeared, their hulls gleaming, silver and green. Each ship was the size of a city block. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy. The Veltharian commander sent a message on all frequencies. "Human ships, surrender now or be destroyed." Minho was about to respond when the unknown ship acted first. Lights began to appear along its dark hull. Not the harsh white lights of human ships or the green glow of Veltharian vessels. These lights were different colors: blue, purple, gold. They pulsed like a heartbeat. "Sir," whispered Lee Jihan, "I'm reading energy levels that shouldn't be possible." The unknown ship's weapons began to charge. But these were not normal weapons. They seemed to bend light around them. Space itself appeared to twist and fold. The largest Veltharian ship, a massive battlecruiser, fired first. Green energy beams shot toward the unknown vessel. But something impossible happened. The beams passed right through the dark ship as if it wasn't there. Then the unknown ship fired back. What happened next was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. Beams of twisted light shot from the mysterious vessel. When they hit the Veltharian ships, the alien vessels simply stopped existing, not exploded, not destroyed. They just disappeared as if they had never been there at all. In less than 5 minutes, the entire Veltharian fleet was gone. The bridge of the Incheon's Pride was completely silent. Everyone stared at the main screen in shock. The unknown ship sent another message in Korean. "The evaluation continues." Then it began moving toward the human fleet. The strange ship moved slowly toward the human fleet. Admiral Kang Minho watched it approach on his main screen. His heart was beating fast. The ship had just destroyed an entire Veltharian fleet in minutes. What did it want with humans now? "All ships hold position," Minho said into his communication device. "Do not fire unless I give the order." "Sir," said Park Sora quietly, "what if they attack us too?" Minho looked at his tactical officer. She was trying to stay calm, but he could see fear in her eyes. Everyone on the bridge was afraid. "If they wanted to destroy us, they would have done it already," he said. "They had the perfect chance when we were fighting the Veltharians." The unknown ship stopped about 1 kilometer away from the Incheon's Pride. It was so big that it blocked out the stars behind it. Up close, the humans could see more details of its strange hull. The dark metal seemed to move and flow like liquid. Strange symbols glowed faintly along its sides. "Sir," said Li Jihan, "I'm getting another transmission." "Put it through," Minho said. The same strange voice spoke in Korean again. "Send one representative." "We must talk," Minho thought quickly. This could be the most important conversation in human history. "I'll go myself," he said. "Sir, no." Park Sora stood up from her station. "It's too dangerous. Let me go instead." "Or me," said Captain Kim Daeho over the radio from his destroyer. "My ship is smaller and faster. If something goes wrong, I can escape easier." But Minho shook his head. "I'm the fleet commander. This is my responsibility." He looked at his crew. "If something happens to me, Sora, you're in command. Get the fleet back to Earth and tell them what we learned here." 20 minutes later, Minho sat in a small shuttle flying toward the unknown ship. He was alone except for the shuttle's pilot, a young woman named Yoon Hyeji. She had volunteered to fly him, even though it might be dangerous. "Admiral," Hyeji said as they got closer to the alien vessel, "I've been reading the classified files about other strange encounters. This isn't the first time mysterious ships have appeared during wars." Minho looked at her with surprise. "What do you mean?" 300 years ago, during the war between the Altarian Republic and the Centauri Alliance, both sides reported seeing unknown ships. The ships appeared, watched the fighting, then disappeared. 6 months later, both civilizations suddenly developed new technology and ended their war. "Why wasn't this information shared with the fleet?" Minho asked. "Because no one believed it, sir. The reports were filed away and forgotten, but I've been studying them. There are 12 similar cases over the past 1,000 years. Every time, mysterious ships appear during major wars. Sometimes the civilizations advance quickly after that. Sometimes they disappear completely." Minho felt a chill run down his spine. "What do you think it means?" "I think someone has been watching the galaxy for a very long time, sir, and I think they choose which civilizations survive." The shuttle approached the alien ship's hull. A section of the dark metal began to glow, then opened like a flower blooming. Inside was a docking bay filled with soft blue light. "Well," Minho said, "I guess we're about to find out." The shuttle landed inside the alien ship. Minho put on his helmet and checked his air supply, then stepped outside. The docking bay was huge, big enough to hold 50 human shuttles. The walls curved in impossible ways that made his eyes water if he looked at them too long. A figure approached, from the far end of the bay. It walked on 2 legs like a human, but it was taller and thinner. It wore armor that seemed to be made of the same flowing metal as the ship's hull. The armor covered its entire body, so Minho could not see what was underneath. The figure stopped a few meters away from Minho. When it spoke, its voice came from inside the helmet, but somehow Minho could hear it clearly, even in the vacuum of the docking bay. "Admiral Kang Minho of Earth," the figure said in perfect Korean. "I am designated as an observer. You may call me observer if you wish." "Why do you know our language?" Minho asked. "We have been watching your species for many years. We learn languages quickly. It is necessary for our work." "What work is that?" The observer gestured toward a doorway that had appeared in the wall. "Come. There is much to discuss in little time." Minho followed the observer through corridors that seemed to stretch on forever. The walls glowed with soft light that came from nowhere he could see. Sometimes the floor curved upward and became the ceiling, but somehow Minho never felt like he was walking upside down. "What is this place?" he asked. "A ship built for observation and evaluation," the observer replied. "It has served this purpose for many thousands of your years." They came to a large circular room. In the center was a table made of the same flowing metal as everything else. The observer gestured for Minho to sit in one of 2 chairs that grew out of the floor. "You have questions," the observer said, sitting across from him. "Many questions," Minho agreed, "starting with who you are and what you want. We are the collective. We are beings who were once like you, limited by flesh and time and the boundaries of single worlds. But we have grown beyond those limitations." "You're saying you used to be mortal like us?" "Yes. Long ago we were tested as you are being tested now. We passed the test and were invited to join those who came before us. Now we are part of something greater. Minho leaned forward. What kind of test? The observer was quiet for a moment. Then it said, every intelligent species faces the same choice eventually. When they develop enough technology to travel between stars, they also develop enough technology to destroy themselves and others. Some choose to become conquerors. Some choose to hide and never grow. Some choose to grow wisely. And you decide which choice they make? No. We only observe and offer opportunities. The choice is always yours to make. The observer stood and walked to the wall. It touched the metal surface and suddenly the wall became transparent. Through it, Minho could see space around them. But it was not normal space. Somehow he could see far beyond what should have been possible. He saw the Veltharian homeworld, a large planet covered in green oceans and silver cities. He saw the Veltharian military bases on dozens of moons and asteroids. He saw their leaders in a great palace, planning their next attack on human worlds. Your enemy is preparing for one final assault, the observer said. They plan to destroy Earth, Mars, and 6 colony worlds. They will use weapons that crack planets in half. Billions of humans will die. Minho felt sick. When? Soon. Your species has perhaps 1 month before they launch this attack. Then help us, Minho said, standing up quickly. You destroyed their fleet easily. You could stop them. We could, the observer agreed. But that would not be your victory. It would be ours, given to you like a gift to a child. Such gifts make species weak and dependent. So you'll let billions of people die just to teach us a lesson? The observer turned back to face him. We will offer you a choice, Admiral Kang Minho. The same choice we have offered to 12 other species in this galaxy. What choice? We can save your species now. We can move all humans to safe worlds under our protection. You would live in peace and comfort for the rest of time. No war, no suffering, no death from violence. But also no growth, no challenges, no chance to become something greater. Minho was quiet, thinking about what this meant. Or, the observer continued, we can give you knowledge and tools to save yourselves. Technology that could help you win this war and grow beyond what you are now. But this path is dangerous. You might fail. You might become conquerors yourselves. You might destroy not just your enemies but yourselves. And if we succeed, then you would be invited to join the collective, to become part of something that spans the entire galaxy and beyond. But first you must prove that you deserve such power. The observer walked back to the table and sat down. I will give you coordinates to an abandoned mining station. Meet us there in 7 days with your answer. But know this, the choice you make will determine the future of your entire species. The meeting was over. Minho found himself back in his shuttle, flying toward his ship. His mind was spinning with everything he had learned. As they approached the Inchun's Pride, Hiji looked at him. Sir? How did it go? Minho stared out at the stars. Somewhere out there, an alien fleet was preparing to destroy everything he loved. And somehow humanity had to find the strength to stop them. Hiji, he said quietly, get me a secure channel to Earth Command, and then to the other fleet commanders. We need to have a very long talk. 7 days later, Admiral Kang Minho sat in his shuttle approaching the abandoned mining station. The past week had been filled with arguments, meetings, and difficult decisions. Now he was about to learn if humanity had chosen wisely. The mining station was old and broken. It floated in the asteroid belt like a metal skeleton. But as Minho's shuttle got closer, he could see the observer's ship waiting nearby. It looked just as dark and mysterious as before. Admiral, said his pilot, Yoon Hyeji, the other fleet commanders are in position around the asteroid field. If something goes wrong, I know, Minho said, but I don't think we'll need them. The shuttle docked with the mining station. Minho walked through empty corridors filled with old dust and broken equipment. He found the observer waiting in what used to be the station's main control room. You have made your choice, the observer said. It was not a question. We have. Minho replied. But it wasn't easy. My people are divided. The observer gestured to two chairs that had somehow appeared in the empty room. Tell me of this division. Minho sat down and thought about the past week. Half of my commanders want to accept your protection. Admiral Bay Suman says it's the smart choice. Why risk everything when we can have peace and safety? And the other half? They want to fight. Marine Commander Otewan says we should never accept charity from strangers, that we should win or lose on our own. Minho looked at the observer. But there was a third voice. Captain Nam Yunji said something that changed my mind. What did she say? She told us about a bird in a cage. The bird is safe and fed and comfortable, but it can never fly free. It can never see new places or build its own nest. She said she would rather die flying free than live safely in a cage. The observer was quiet for a long moment. Then it said, Captain Nam Yunji is wise. Many species choose the cage. They live comfortable lives, but they never grow beyond what they were. Is this your final answer? Yes, Minho said firmly. We choose to fight our own battles. Give us the tools and knowledge we need, and we'll face whatever comes. The observer stood up. Then follow me. It is time for you to understand what you are truly choosing. They walked to another part of the station. The observer touched a wall and it became transparent just like before, but this time Minho saw something different. He saw images of other species across the galaxy. Some looked like humans, others were completely alien, but all of them had the same look in their eyes: intelligence, curiosity, the desire to grow and learn. These are the species who chose as you have chosen, the observer said. Some succeeded. They became part of the collective and now help guide younger species like yours. And the others? The observer touched the wall again. Now Minho saw destroyed worlds, empty star systems, the remains of once great civilizations. They failed. The power we gave them was too great for their wisdom. They became conquerors or destroyers. In the end, they destroyed themselves and sometimes others with them. Minho felt cold. How many failed? More than half. And you're willing to give us the same power that destroyed them? Yes, because that is the only way to truly grow. A parent cannot protect their child forever. Eventually, the child must face the world alone and prove their worth. The observer led Minho to another room. This one was filled with strange devices that glowed with soft light. These are the tools we offer. But first, you must understand what you are accepting. The observer walked to the center of the room. The technology we give you will not just make your weapons stronger. It will change you. Your minds will work faster. Your bodies will be stronger. You will be able to communicate with each other in ways you never imagined. What's the catch? Minho asked. The same power that lets you communicate perfectly with your allies also lets you influence their thoughts. The same strength that helps you survive in battle also makes it easy to hurt those weaker than you. The same intelligence that helps you solve problems also makes you aware of how much less intelligent other species are. Minho began to understand. You're testing whether we'll use this power responsibly. Yes, power without wisdom is the most dangerous thing in the universe. Your species will have the ability to become gods or demons. Which you become depends entirely on the choices you make. The observer picked up one of the glowing devices. It looked like a crystal the size of a human hand. This is a quantum consciousness network. It will allow perfect coordination between all human ships and crew members, but it will also show you the thoughts and feelings of your enemies. What do you mean? When you fight the Veltharians, you will feel their fear. You will sense their pain when they are hurt. You will know that they have families and children just like humans do. Most species that receive this technology choose to ignore these feelings and kill anyway. Some cannot handle the emotional weight and stop fighting entirely. The observer set down the crystal and picked up another device. This one looked like a small metal sphere. These are phase shift weapons. They can pass through any armor or shield. A single shot can destroy the largest battleship. That sounds useful in a war, Minho said. It is also useful for murder, terrorism, and genocide. One person with this technology could kill millions of innocent people in minutes. Minho was starting to see the full picture. You're not just giving us weapons to win a war, you're giving us the power to become something entirely different, and you want to see if we become monsters. Correct. But we are also giving you the chance to become something wonderful. The species that succeed do not just save themselves. They become protectors and teachers for other young species. They help build a galaxy where war and suffering are rare. The observer walked to another wall and made it transparent. This time, Minho saw beautiful worlds filled with peaceful cities and happy people. Ships traveled between stars carrying not weapons but art, science, and friendship. This is what the galaxy could become if enough species choose wisdom over power. But it requires sacrifice. It requires choosing to help others even when you could easily dominate them instead. Minho looked at all the devices around the room. Each one could change the course of human history. If we accept these tools, how long do we have to prove ourselves? The test begins the moment you use them and ends when the war with the Veltharians is over. How you choose to end that war will determine your species' future. What if we win but use the power badly? Then we will take the technology back and your species will be left weaker than before. But more importantly, you will have lost the chance to grow beyond what you are now. Minho thought about everything the observer had told him. He thought about Captain Nam Yunji's words about caged birds. He thought about the billions of humans who would die if the Veltharians carried out their plan. There's one more thing I need to know, Minho said. Who are you really? Under that armor, what species were you originally? The observer was quiet for a long time. Then it reached up and began removing its helmet. I was hoping you would ask that question. It shows you understand what this choice truly means. The helmet came off, revealing a face that was clearly not human but not entirely alien either. The observer's skin was pale blue, and its eyes were larger than human eyes. But the expression on its face was one Minho recognized, sadness mixed with hope. My people faced this same choice 800 years ago. We were fighting a war against species that wanted to enslave us. The collective offered us the same choice they are offering you now. What did you choose? We chose to fight, and we won. But more importantly, we chose to show mercy to our enemies when we had the power to destroy them completely. We proved that power could be used wisely. The observer put its helmet back on. Now it is your turn. Will humanity choose the path of wisdom, or will you join the graveyard of species that chose power without restraint? Minho looked around the room one more time. Each glowing device represented incredible power and incredible responsibility. We'll take them, he said. All of them. And we'll prove that humanity deserves to join the collective. I hope you succeed, Admiral. I truly do. But hope is not enough. You must make the right choices when the time comes, even when those choices seem impossible. As Minho prepared to return to his fleet with the alien technology, he realized that the real test was just beginning. 3 weeks after receiving the observer's technology, the human fleet looked completely different. Admiral Kang Minho walked through the engineering sections of the Incheon's Pride and marveled at the changes. Engineer Han Jiho was working with a team to install the new phase shift weapons. The weapons looked simple, just small crystal devices, but they required completely new power systems to operate. How are we doing, Jiho? Minho asked. Han looked up from his work, wiping sweat from his forehead. The technology is amazing, Admiral, but it's also strange. The weapons don't just need electrical power. They seem to respond to the thoughts and emotions of the person using them. What do you mean? Watch this. Han picked up one of the crystal weapons. In his hands, it glowed with a soft blue light. Now you try. Minho took the weapon. Immediately, it began glowing brighter, with streaks of gold mixed in with the blue. Why is it different? We think it's because you're a natural leader, Han explained. People with strong personalities make the weapons more powerful. But here's the strange part. People with bad intentions make them unstable and dangerous. Han, told him about Lieutenant Park who had volunteered to test the weapons. He was angry about losing friends in the war. When he held the weapon, it turned red and started burning his hands. It was like the weapon knew he wanted revenge instead of justice. Minho frowned. That's both helpful and worrying. There's more, sir. The quantum consciousness networks are even stranger. Come, let me show you. They walked to another section, where pilot Jung Yuna was training with the new systems. She sat in a chair connected to dozens of glowing cables. Her eyes were closed, but she was somehow controlling 6 different fighter ships at the same time through computer simulation. Yuna, Han called softly. The Admiral is here. Yuna opened her eyes and smiled. Sir, you have to try this. It's incredible. I can feel what every ship in the squadron is doing. I know exactly where they are and what they need without anyone having to tell me. Show me, Minho said. Yuna closed her eyes again. On the screens around them, Minho could see the 6 simulated fighter ships moving in perfect harmony. They flew in complex patterns that would be impossible for normal pilots to coordinate. But that's not the best part, Yuna said, opening her eyes again. When I'm connected to the network, I can sense the emotions of enemy pilots too. I can feel their fear, their anger, their sadness. It makes it harder to fight them. Harder? Why? Because they stop being just enemies. They become real people with real feelings. In the simulation, when I shot down an enemy ship, I could feel the pilot's terror as his ship was destroyed. I could sense him thinking about his family back home. Minho understood. This was part of the test the observer had warned him about. The technology would make humans more powerful, but it would also make them more aware of the cost of that power. Over the next few days, Minho watched his crews adapt to the new technology. Some people, like Jung Yuna, became incredibly effective but also more thoughtful and careful. Others struggled with the emotional weight of feeling their enemy's pain. The worst problems came from people who tried to block out the emotional connections entirely. Lieutenant Commander Song Min-jae had been one of their best intelligence officers, but after using the quantum network, he became cold and distant. I can't let myself feel what the enemy feels, Song told Minho during a private meeting. If I do, I'll hesitate. And hesitation in war means death. But if you don't feel anything, you might make decisions you'll regret later, Minho replied. Song shook his head. Regret is a luxury we can't afford, sir. We need to win this war by any means necessary. Minho made a note to watch Song carefully. This was exactly the kind of attitude that could turn the new power into something destructive. The first real test came when human scouts discovered a Veltharian supply convoy heading toward their military bases. It was the perfect target. 12. Transport ships carrying weapons and ammunition, protected by only 4 escort fighters. Captain Kim Dae-ho volunteered to lead the attack with his newly upgraded destroyer, the Soul's Hammer. His ship now had phase-shift weapons and quantum networks connecting his crew. The attack went perfectly. Kim's weapons passed right through the Veltharian shields like they weren't there. The enemy ships were destroyed quickly and efficiently, but when Kim returned to the fleet, he looked troubled. The attack succeeded, Admiral, he reported to Minho. All 12 transport ships destroyed. No human casualties. You don't sound happy about it, Minho observed. Kim was quiet for a moment. Sir, one of the transport ships was carrying medical supplies. Medicine for sick children on the Veltharian colony worlds. Through the quantum network, I could sense the fear of the transport crews. They knew they were going to die, and they were thinking about the children who would suffer without those medicines. Did that change your decision to attack? No, sir. We're at war, and those supplies could have been used to help enemy soldiers too. But it made me realize that every choice we make has consequences beyond what we can see. This was exactly what the observer had predicted. The new technology was making humans more effective fighters, but it was also making them more aware of the moral weight of their actions. 2 weeks later, Intelligence Officer Song Min-jae brought troubling news. Admiral, I've intercepted Veltharian communications. They're moving forward with their plan to attack Earth and the colony worlds. Minho studied the intelligence reports. The enemy was gathering a massive fleet near their home system. Planet-killer weapons were being loaded onto their largest ships. How long do we have? Minho asked. 2 weeks, maybe 3. Song replied. But sir, I also discovered something else. The Veltharian civilian population is protesting against the war. Many of them want peace. That doesn't matter if their military goes ahead with the attack, Minho said. Actually, sir, it might. If we could somehow communicate with the civilian population, show them that we're not the monsters their government claims we are. Song paused. The quantum networks might make that possible. Minho was intrigued. Explain. The networks don't just connect human minds. They can connect to any intelligent consciousness nearby. If we got close enough to Veltharian worlds, we might be able to communicate directly with their people. That's incredibly risky, and it might not work. But if it did work, we could end this war without destroying their entire civilization. Minho thought about this. The easy path would be to use their new weapons to destroy the Veltharian military fleet. With phase shift technology, they could probably win a direct battle, but that would mean killing millions of enemy soldiers and possibly their families too. The harder path would be to try something that had never been attempted before, using the quantum networks to speak directly to the enemy's people and convince them to stop the war themselves. Sir, said Park Sora, who had been listening to the conversation, I think we should try Song's idea, but not as our only plan. We should prepare for battle while also attempting to communicate with the Veltharian civilians. Minho nodded. Agreed. Song, start working on a way to use the quantum networks for long-range communication. Sora, begin planning our attack on their military fleet. We'll try diplomacy first, but we need to be ready for war. As his officers left to begin their preparations, Minho stared out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the observer was watching, evaluating how humanity would use its new power. The real test was about to begin. The final battle began at the edge of the Veltharian home system. Admiral Kang Minho stood on the bridge of the Incheon's Pride, watching the enemy fleet form up for battle. There were over 200 Veltharian ships, including the massive, planet-killer vessels that could crack worlds in half. Admiral, said Park Sora, our fleet is in position. All ships report ready for battle. The human fleet was much smaller, only 60 ships, but each one had been upgraded with the observer's technology. The phase shift weapons and quantum consciousness networks made them far more powerful than they had ever been before. Any word from Song's communication attempt? Minho asked. Yes, sir. He managed to make contact with civilian groups on 3 Veltharian worlds, but the military is jamming most of their broadcasts. We don't know if the message is getting through. Minho nodded. They had tried the diplomatic approach. Intelligence Officer Song Minjae had used the quantum networks to speak directly to Veltharian civilians, telling them the truth about human intentions and asking them to pressure their government to end the war peacefully. Some had listened. Some had even begun protesting in their cities, but it might not be enough. Incoming transmission from the Veltharian fleet, reported Li Jihan. Put it through. The main screen showed the image of a large, lizard-like creature wearing elaborate military decorations. This was Admiral Thekmal, commander of the Veltharian fleet. Human Admiral, Thekmal said in his harsh voice, you have interfered with our people's minds using forbidden technology. This is an act of war beyond all others. Surrender now, and we will make your death quick. Minho stepped forward. Admiral Thekmal, we only spoke the truth to your people. We told them that humans do not want to conquer or destroy the Veltharian worlds. We want peace. Peace? Thekmal's eyes glowed red with anger. You have killed thousands of our soldiers. You have destroyed our ships and supplies, and now you claim to want peace. War makes enemies of everyone, Minho replied calmly. But it doesn't have to stay that way. We can end this fighting now, before more people die on both sides. Thekmal laughed, a sound like breaking glass. The time for talk is over, human. Today your species dies. The transmission ended. Minho turned to his crew. All ships prepare for battle. Remember, we're not just fighting for victory. We're fighting for the future of both our species. The battle began with the Veltharians attacking in waves. Their green energy weapons filled space with deadly light. but the human ships seemed to dance between the attacks, their quantum networks, allowing perfect coordination. Pilot Yang Yuna led a squadron of fighters that moved like a school of fish, turning and diving as one organism. Her voice came over the communication system. "I can feel them, Admiral. The enemy pilots are scared. They don't really want to fight this battle." "Use that knowledge wisely," Minho told her. "Disable their ships when possible. We want to win, not slaughter." The phase shift weapons proved devastatingly effective. Human attacks passed right through Veltharian shields and armor. But instead of destroying every enemy ship completely, many human captains chose to target only weapons and engines, leaving the crew compartments intact. Captain Kim Daeho's voice crackled over the radio. "Admiral, I'm reading life signs on the ships we've disabled. Should we finish them off?" This was the moment Minho had been dreading, the moment that would define what humanity would become. "Negative," Minho said firmly. "Disabled ships are no longer a threat. Focus on active targets only." "But sir," came another voice, Lieutenant Commander Song Minjae. "If we leave them alive, they might repair their ships and fight again." "Then we'll deal with that when it happens. We're not murderers, Song." The battle continued for hours. Slowly, the human fleet gained the upper hand. Veltharian ships were disabled one by one, their crews rescued by human medical ships when possible. But the most dangerous moment came when the Veltharian planet-killer ships turned toward Earth's direction. These massive vessels began charging their world-destroying weapons. "All ships priority target," Minho ordered. "Stop those planet-killers before they can fire." The human fleet concentrated their attack on the three huge vessels, but as they closed in, something unexpected happened. The quantum consciousness networks began picking up signals from inside the enemy ships. "Admiral," Yang Yuna's voice was filled with emotion. "There are Veltharian children on those ships, families of the crew members. They're terrified." Minho felt his heart sink. The planet-killer ships weren't just weapons. They were also transport vessels carrying the families of the military crews. "Sir," Park Sora said urgently, "we have to stop those ships before they reach firing range of Earth, even if there are civilians aboard." This was the ultimate test. Humanity had the power to save Earth by destroying the planet killers, but doing so would mean killing innocent families, or they could try to disable the ships without harming civilians, but risk failing to stop the attack on Earth. Through the quantum network, Minho could sense the fear of every person on those ships, both the military crews preparing to destroy Earth and their families who just wanted to go home safely. "Open a channel to the planet killer ships," Minho ordered. "Sir?" Park Sora looked confused. "Do it." Li Jihan established the connection. Minho spoke directly to the Veltharian crews. "This is Admiral Kang Minho of the Earth Defense Fleet. I know you have families aboard your ships. I know you're afraid, but you don't have to destroy Earth to protect them." The response came from Admiral Thekmol himself. "You speak of mercy while pointing weapons at our children." "I'm offering you a choice," Minho said. "Stand down your weapons and we'll escort your families to safety. Continue with the attack and we'll have no choice but to stop you. You would kill innocent children to save your world?" Minho closed his eyes, feeling the weight of the decision. "No, I won't." He turned to his crew. "All ships, new orders. Target the planet killer weapons only. Precision strikes to disable their firing mechanisms. Avoid all civilian areas." "Sir," Song protested, "that's almost impossible. The targeting systems are integrated throughout the ships." "Then we'd better be very good shots," Minho replied. What followed was the most precise military operation in human history. Using their advanced technology and quantum-coordinated teamwork, the human fleet performed surgical strikes on the three planet-killer vessels. They disabled the world-destroying weapons while leaving the crew compartments and civilian areas untouched. It worked. The planet killers were neutralized without killing a single family member. But Admiral Thekmol wasn't finished. In a rage, he ordered all remaining Veltharian ships to ram the human vessels, planning to destroy both fleets in a final act of spite. At that moment, something unexpected happened. Voices began coming over Veltharian military communication channels, the voices of their own people from the home worlds. "Stop this madness," they cried. "These humans showed mercy to our families when they could have killed them. They are not the monsters you told us they were." Intelligence Officer Song's communication plan had worked. The Veltharian civilians had seen the battle through the quantum networks. They watched human ships risk their own safety to protect enemy families. One by one, Veltharian ship captains began refusing Admiral Thekmol's orders. They powered down their weapons and requested permission to surrender. In the end, only Thekmol's flagship continued fighting. Isolated and alone, it was quickly disabled by the human fleet. When the battle was over, Minho found himself face with the Observer again. The mysterious figure appeared on the bridge of the Inchin's Pride without warning. "The test is complete," the Observer said. "Did we pass?" Minho asked. The Observer removed its helmet, revealing the same blue-skinned face from before. But this time the expression was one of joy and pride. "You did more than pass, Admiral Kang Minho. You chose mercy when revenge would have been easier. You risked your own world to protect the families of your enemies. You proved that power can be used wisely." So what happens now? Now humanity joins the collective, but not as junior members or students. You join as equals with all the rights and responsibilities that brings. The Observer gestured, and suddenly the bridge filled with representatives from dozens of different species. All of them had once faced the same test that humanity had just passed. "Welcome," they said in unison, "to the greater galaxy." In the months that followed, human ships began exploring new star systems alongside their new allies. They carried, not weapons of conquest but tools of science, art, and friendship. The Veltharians, impressed by human mercy, chose to join the growing alliance as well. Former enemies became partners in building a better galaxy, and Admiral Kang Minho, now bearing the title of guide, watched from his ship as a new species discovered space travel for the first time. He smiled as he prepared to send them the message that would begin their own test. "We observe, we evaluate, we choose." The cycle continued, as it always had, as it always would. But now humanity was part of something greater, guardians of wisdom and mercy in a galaxy that needed both.